Hey guys, so last week we worked really hard on becoming masters of subtraction, and we're going to continue to do that with this review video because I really want you guys to just feel super confident with your 3-digit subtraction using the number line model and using two different strategies. The first one, removal strategy, which remember that means like take away. And then the other strategy is called the differencing strategy, which basically means finding the difference by adding on. So I'm going to start with this first strategy, the removal strategy, and bear with me because it's kind of hard to do this on the computer, but I am going to start with 167. So I'm going to type 167. That's really big. So I'm just going to move this over here. Now, the reason why I'm not putting 167 over to the other side is because I'm removing, I'm subtracting, so I'm going backwards. So I have 167, and I have to remove or subtract 159. So I want to be as efficient as possible when I'm subtracting on the number line, and I know I have to subtract 100, so I might start by subtracting 100. So I'm going to use my jump from 167, and that jump is going to be quite large. Let's put it here, and then I know if I subtract, I'm going to write it out. If I subtract 100 from 167, that's going to give me, that's going to give me 67. So I'm going to type 67, and I'm going to move it to its proper place. Make it a little bit smaller, too small. So now I have 67. Okay. Now I've removed 100, but I still have to take away 59. Got it. So now my next step is that I'm going to try to remove part of that 59, but I'm going to decompose it. I'm going to make this, break it into easier numbers or friendlier numbers. So I'm going to remove 7. So I'm going to take my little jump again. It's going to be a smaller jump. And I'm going to write 7. And I know if I remove or subtract 7 from 67, that's going to give me 60. And again, I'm going to move this to its proper place and make it smaller. So now I'm at 60, but I've only removed 107, which means I still have a ways to go. Okay, so I have 107, but I have 159 to subtract, so I can remove another 50. So I'm going to use my jump again. Maybe just make it this size. And then I'm going to write that I'm subtracting 50. And if I subtract 50 from 60, that's going to give me 10. So I'm going to write 10, move it to its proper place. Okay, so far I've removed 157, but I have to remove 2 more. So I'm going to subtract 2 more. I'm going to take my little jump. Again, this one's going to be a tiny one. I'm going to write that I subtracted 2 because I want to keep track of how much I'm subtracting. That's 2. And then this time I'm going to type, if I subtract 2 from 10, that's going to give me 8. Let me get it a little bit smaller so you can see that. So with the removal strategy using the number line model, I see that I have the difference of 8. Now, I'm going to try the same problem, but with the differencing strategy, with adding on. And if I'm adding on, then it would make sense for me to start at this part of the number line. So in other words, it's like I'm saying I'm solving 159 plus equals 167, right? Because that's basically the same. It's the same relationship with the numbers because I'm finding the difference. 159 plus equals 167, or 167 minus 159 equals Alrighty, so I'm going to start with 159. So I'm going to start with a smaller number, and I'm going to type 159 again, but make it a bit smaller. Move it to its proper location, and I'm adding on. So 159 is really close to 160, so I'm going to round it up because it's just one away. Make this a little baby jump, and I'm going to write +1 as small as I can, and I know that gives me 160. And that's a big 160, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so it's easier to see. Alright, so +1, I'm at 160, and I have to get to 167. Wait a minute, so I know if I add 7 more to 160, it'll give me 167. So I'm going to use my little jump. And then I'm going to write +7. And I'm then going to type, well, I added another 7 to 160, so I'm going to type that gave me 167, which is where we were trying to get to. Anyway, now, remember that this differencing strategy or adding on strategy is a little different because here we found the answer here when we took away, when we subtracted, but here in order to find the difference, I have to look at how I moved on the number line. And so I moved 8 spots, right? That's my difference. So I still got the same answer. Now, because the numbers are so close together when I'm subtracting, 167 and 159, you're going to find that sometimes this strategy, the adding on strategy, can sometimes be more efficient than the removal strategy, just because the numbers are so close together. However, you might want to use the removal strategy when, let's say, you have 167 minus 45. Right? Or a smaller number as your second number. But when you have numbers that are close together, like 167 and 159, sometimes using the differencing strategy or adding on strategy is going to be a little bit more efficient because they're so close together. And I only had to do 2 jumps here, whereas here I had to decompose that 159 into 4 different numbers, like into 100, 50, 152, 159 when I added the 7. So guys, now it's your turn. Work on your exit ticket using both strategies on the number line. Remember to write a statement to explain which strategy you find to be more efficient and why. And yours is 173 minus 166 equals n. Go for it.